They would destroy our economy.
Well, they would be now, but, you know, some of us remember 3-day weeks and things like that. And in fact, you know, I grew up thinking that everybody had, you know, at least a couple of days a week when they had to eat off a primer stove and things.
This is, again, I don't want to harp on, but this is one of the problems in the politics in our country, isn't it? So many politicians, they just think in election cycles.
Absolutely.
They just think, what can I do and say to get my own backside re-elected at the next general election? They're not always looking ahead at, actually, politics aside, what is genuinely the best thing for this country.
Good morning, I'm Ellie Costello alongside Ben Leo, and this is Saturday Morning Live.
So good to have your company this morning, and we've got an action-packed show for you as well.
Yeah, we certainly do. We will have all of the day's top stories, including the news of the Princess of Wales's cancer diagnosis, which she revealed last night in an emotional video message as she undergoes preventative chemo.
And all the other stories of the day too, with broadcaster and author Jenny Trent-Hughes and Olympian Chris Kabusi. Gone to the highest bidder. Oh, wait, that's the most worthy, you mean? That's what luxury brand Hermes faced this week for causing controversy, with 2 shoppers in California suing the brand because they would only sell their famous Birkin handbags to those deemed worthy enough. Is that you, Ellie?
Well, I wish I was worthy enough to have a Birkin. That would be nice, but that's the idea, I think. I don't think there's that much controversy.
Too many brands these days, high-end brands, flogging their goods to people maybe that bring the tone down a bit. Is that a bit controversial to say?
Let us know what you think about that one. And we're going to meet this week's greatest Britain, the multi-award-winning kidpreneur. It's all going to make sense in a second. She's a 9-year-old girl who's a true ray of sunshine.
Yeah, can't wait for that. Great story.
And Ben, I've got a question for you.
Yes?
What time is it? What time is it?
It's Chico time. Here we go. We're going to be joined by the one and only Chico later on in the show to find out exactly what he's been getting up to since those infamous X Factor days and his pop star career.
So much to get through today. It is a packed programme as always, but as always we want to hear from you. This programme is nothing without you. We want your well wishes for Princess Catherine. Please do email them to gbnews@gbnews.com and we'll share as many as we can throughout the programme.
Yeah, but before we do anything else, Aaron Armstrong has all your news headlines.
Very good morning to you. It is 2 minutes past 10. I'm Aaron Armstrong. There's been an outpouring of support following the Princess of Wales's announcement she's undergoing treatment for cancer. Princess Kate underwent abdominal surgery at the London clinic in January and has not returned to public duties. She says it's taken time to explain her diagnosis to her 3 young children. The King says he's proud of his beloved daughter-in-law and for her courage in speaking out the way she did. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have also said they wish for health and healing and hope the couple are able to do so privately and in peace. The Princess revealed the news in a video message yesterday.
It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who've taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful. In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment.
GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker is outside Windsor Castle. He says Britain is united in wishing Kate well.
There's been an enormous outpouring of love and support for the Princess of Wales since she released that powerful video message to the nation explaining her cancer diagnosis. A member of the public here at Windsor Castle early this morning laid some flowers at the gates. The police have now taken the flowers inside. No word yet as to exactly where those flowers are going to be going. Of course, the Princess lives in Adelaide Cottage in the grounds of Windsor Castle with Prince William and her 3 young children, but online as well. on the internet, social media and emails, there has been a huge outpouring of support. Grown men have written into GB News admitting they have been in tears for the princess's diagnosis. But of course, the princess, I'm told, remains in good spirits, and she is very much focused on her recovery.
The Russian authorities have arrested 4 people suspected of carrying out the terror attack in Moscow last night. If you're watching on TV, you can see this video recorded inside the concert hall as it was taking place. At least 115 people have been killed with 145 injured. Gunmen opened fire at the venue on the outskirts of the capital. The US says Islamic State's claim of responsibility is credible and that it had warned Russia of a potential attack on large gatherings, specifically concerts in Moscow, earlier this month. Ukraine's denied any involvement. No comment yet from the Kremlin. State media, though, claims a total of 11 suspects have been detained. Gareth Southgate says the 3 lions is the most important part of England's new team shirt. Kit designer Nike's added purple and blue to the St George's Cross design on the back of the collar in what it says is a playful update. It's prompted criticism from the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition. But the FA has defended the changes, saying it's a tribute to the 1966 World Cup winning team. England will wear the new kit later against Brazil, and their manager says he's got more important things on his mind.
Well, it's not been high on my list of priorities, but yeah, it depends which bit it is, because I don't know if the debate is about the St George flag needing to be on the England shirt, because obviously it hasn't always been. I think the most important thing that has to be on an England shirt are the 3 lions. It's our iconic symbol. It is what distinguishes us.
And some good news if you are planning a summer holiday. Despite the rising cost of living, some popular getaways are actually getting more affordable. Post Office Travel Money says British holidaymakers are paying less for food and drinks than a year ago, thanks in part to foreign currencies weakening against the pound. A survey of key expenses found Hoi An in Vietnam to be the most affordable destination, where a 3-course meal with a bottle of wine will set you back just £39. Cape Town and Tokyo also on the list, but amongst the most expensive places are New York, Costa Rica and St Lucia. We can get the latest on all of our stories by signing up to GB News Alerts. Scan the QR code on your screen or go to gbnews.com/alerts. Now, it's back to Ellie and Ben.
Welcome to Saturday Morning Live. The time is 10:07. And welcome, Ben Leo. Really good to have you on the sofa with me.
Really happy to be here. Pete's away for how long?
About 6 weeks, I believe. But it depends when baby comes. No sign of baby just yet. If you are tuning in wanting to know if we've got a new baby Andre, we don't know yet.
And if you want to call me Pound Shop Pete,
please... we're not going to call you Pound Shop Pete.
Please do so.
You bring your own magic.
I'll take it in good grace.
Oh, you bring your own magic. So you're very, very welcome. Now, to our top story this morning. It is indeed the only story on the front of the papers today. It's the news that shocked the world last night. The Princess of Wales bravely told the world that she is undergoing chemotherapy for cancer in an emotional video message.
Yes, the Princess said it was a huge shock and that the past couple of months had been incredibly tough for her family. Joining us now is GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker, who's outside Windsor Castle. Cameron, a huge shock. How's the feeling been overnight with people digesting the news since her announcement yesterday?
Yeah, Ben, as you say, a huge shock, but there's been a huge outpouring of love and support for the Princess of Wales. Early this morning, a member of the public laid flowers at the gates of Windsor Castle for the Princess. The police have since taken them inside the grounds. The Princess lives with Prince William and her 3 young children inside the grounds of Windsor Castle at Adelaide Cottage. And clearly this has been a lot for the Princess to take in herself, being diagnosed with cancer, and indeed for Prince William, a huge burden on his shoulders now. Both his father, the King, and his wife, the Princess of Wales, are battling cancer at the moment. But the priority for the Prince and Princess, I'm told, is very much their children. And they told their children of the Princess's diagnosis at a time that was right for them and they are now, of course, on their Easter holidays from school, and that is why the princess decided to deliver her message to the nation last night, telling the world of her cancer diagnosis, now that the children are in the privacy of their own home and can be protected. Now, there's been a huge outpouring from people close to the Prince and Princess of Wales as well. In the last hour, we've had a message from Charles Spencer, the brother of the late Princess Diana, who said the princess's message was incredible, showed incredible strength and poise. The King's spokesperson last night told us that the King is proud of his beloved daughter-in-law for her courage. James Middleton, who is Princess Catherine's younger brother, who posted this lovely photograph on Instagram of him and Catherine when they were children, he said, "Over the years, we have climbed many mountains together. As a family, we will climb this one with you too." The Duke and Duchess of Sussex has also expressed a message of support. So there's been huge interest in the Princess of Wales, with unfounded conspiracy theories, quite mean and harsh conspiracy theories on the internet. And the princess wishes for privacy to undergo her treatment, having that preventative chemotherapy. She's 42 years old. She will be receiving the best care this country can offer. And all she wants now is to retreat into the privacy of Windsor or Norfolk with her family and be supported by them at this difficult time.
Cameron Walker, thank you very much indeed. Well, I'd like to welcome in our panel for this morning, the broadcaster and author Jenny Trent-Hughes and the Olympian Chris Akabusi. Really good to see you both this morning.
Good morning.
And let's speak first about the Princess of Wales. Such a shock last night to see that video of her discussing what she's been going through for the past few months. What would you like to say, Jenny?
I found it overwhelming, not because I'm a royalist, but because I'm a mother. And when you're a parent, the first thing that you think of when you hear any kind of sad story is you put yourself in the what if I had to tell my child. And thinking about that, I couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to be sick, because that's the worst bit of it for me. Not that she's William's wife, not that she's going to be queen someday, that she is a mother and she has to explain this to her children. And there's nothing worse.
And such tiny children as well. I mean, George is the eldest and he's only 10 years old. How do you even begin to explain that to children?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think she'll have her own way and her own mannerisms, and the children will know their mum. I mean, for me, really, when I heard it, first of all, totally surprised, didn't expect it. And I'm trying to imagine what the princess herself was really thinking in the moments prior to being forced to reveal such intimate and private details.
And what proof of her courage and bravery?
Oh, no, absolutely, and fortitude. But I'm just trying to imagine what she must have actually felt like. Yes, and she's come across beautifully. The reporter there did a great piece there. But there's this woman here who is a private person. Yes, she's a princess, she's of the first family, but a private person, and she's been forced by us. And I mean all of us. Yeah. All of us are complicit. You can blame the media, you can blame... No, all of us, who hasn't had a conversation in the last couple of 3 weeks about, what's going on? Where is she? And people ask you questions, what do you think? And there's this theory in existence called das man, the culture. We create this environment. And the upshot is, this woman, young mother, young lady, has had to come public about a very private issue. Now, that's my sort of negative feeling, being sad for her. But on the other side, I see, well done you. You are the first family. And I don't think there is any family in the United Kingdom that hasn't been touched by cancer. And what I saw then is the power, quite gentle power, in which she presented her case and said, now please let me get on with this with my family. And I thought, yeah, OK, well done. You've turned what was quite a negative situation into something positive, and we can all now get on with our own families who've also got this issue that we're struggling with.
Indeed. Yeah, very, very classy. And that's the thing I took from it, the fact that we see these people, the royals, as maybe not human sometimes. They're characters in this, drama that plays out. And actually, when this kind of thing happens, it makes you realise, they're one of us, regardless of the titles and the pomp and the ceremony. They go through the same anxieties, the same challenges and the same hurdles.
Can I say one more thing? Because you've brought up a really important point to me. When you say one of us, one of the things that I think is at the root of so many of society's ills is we have lost the understanding that us is all the same. And I think that when something happens, because it's like when Princess Diana died, everybody gets together. We are all the same.
Yeah.
And I think that the more that we get a handle on that, is the more we'll stop thinking this one's terrible because their family has too much money.
Yeah.
This one doesn't deserve this because they're royal. We're all the same. We
Indeed.
all are suffering from the same issues, and we need to be nicer to each
Well,
other.
let's hope she gets the privacy she deserves now, and of course
Absolutely.
we send Catherine and her family the best wishes. Should we move on to this rather grim terror attack in Moscow yesterday? I think the death toll is 115 at the moment. There's been some pretty horrible video doing the rounds online.
Yeah. Again, I just saw the report there. It seems it's escalated. So when I came into the studio, it was 40 had died and 100 injured.
Been climbing all morning.
It's been climbing all morning, yeah. Humanity, what is it with us? Apparently, these terrorists were dressed in camouflage gear, which must have been a terrible optics in itself when you go into a party and you relax and you enjoy yourself and you see these guys in camouflage gear, straight away, professionals, military, and then all of a sudden they actually do start shooting. I mean, again, I can't imagine this. It's reminiscent of the Bataclan in Paris, of our own Ariana Grande in Manchester. What is wrong with us? What is going on with us? Who is it? Why did they do that? I know that America's Secret Service seemed to have said to Russia, "Be prepared." There could be some sort of attack. And then they're saying, "Is it Islamic State? Is it Ukraine?" No, Ukraine said it's not us. It's just such a tragedy.
Yeah.
And again, I can't imagine. I've got young children. You're young, you're 40. I've got a daughter who's 40, one is 36. I've got a young lad who's 16. So he'd be going into this world. I can't imagine this young lad, well, of course I love dearly, you've nurtured, you've grown, and all of a sudden he goes to a party and some guy in a camouflage gets a professional weapon and starts to waste a lot of people. So it is... The word tragedy is often used too often and too lightly. I think it's appropriate for in a case like this. It's a tragedy.
Jenny, one thing I will say, I don't want to downplay this tragedy because it's absolutely awful. I mean, you put it so eloquently. However, in light of obviously the Princess of Wales situation as well, I think it's important at times like these. We really do need to emphasise there is so much more good in the world than the bad going on, and we should really take solace in the fact that a lot of these good things...
Well, the place that I come from that is slightly similar in that I think that the world is more good than bad. But I also think that we need to learn from situations. So I was supposed to be at the Bataclan.
Really, that night?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, was getting dressed, going there. I was living in Paris at the time. And the whole experience changed my life. And that's one of the things I think that we don't learn from things, and you need to be looking around all day, every day, wherever things are going on, and saying, is there something I can take from this to help make my life better, my family's life better, my neighbors, my friends, the people that I work with? Because there is good, but we need to find it.
What did you take from that night? I know you avoided it, but the fact that you did miss it, and you're still here today.
One, to listen to the little voices in your head.
Your
Do you have a
intuition.
little voice?
We all have a little voice.
But did you have one that night telling you not to go?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What?
Don't know. But what happened, I've actually written a story about it, but what I then did after that was I went out like all day, every day for days. And I went to all the memorial services and, had experiences of being, because it's very difficult to explain. Those people who were there last night and those people who were in Manchester, it is so difficult to explain what you feel like when you're there and you don't die.
You're giving me goosebumps, Jenny.
But you know,
Guilt. Guilt.
survivor's
Guilt.
guilt.
And so you feel that the universe has given you a chance and you better make the best of it.
You know about the burnt toast theory?
No.
Do you know about that? It's essentially what you're saying now. It's small instances such as your toast burning in the mornings. You have to put on a new slice, or you miss the bus, or you miss the train. It's like a sliding doors moment.
Yeah.
And it's what protects you from something awful happening to you, and that's what happened that day. The universe was looking after you, or someone was.
So there will be people who were in that concert hall last night who are going to need a lot of help.
Yes.
So that they don't carry the guilt for the rest of their life.
But what I think he wasn't saying, Jenny, is that you've changed your life as a result. Because if we change our life as a result of terrorist activity, then the terrorists swing quite clearly. Now, you know,
depends on how you change it. I'm not afraid. That's the thing, is that it actually made me much braver than I was before.
Does it make you more appreciative of life? Or have you always been this way?
I'm one of those people who every night I have a little book and I write the 3 things that I'm grateful for that day, you know, all of that. So I'm all about that.
It's a good practice, it really is. Well, just to bring you up to date, the Islamic State group have claimed responsibility for the attack in Moscow last night. The US says it's credible that the Islamic State group could be behind the attack. Russia, so far, has not commented, and I think that is going to be one of the most interesting questions, isn't it? Is how is Russia going to respond to this attack? At least 115 people have been killed so far after gunmen attacked in that concert hall last night. We'll bring you more on the programme throughout the morning. Thank you so much, Jenny and Chris, and we'll catch up with you later on in the show.
Don't go anywhere, as we'll be meeting our greatest Britain. I'm so excited to meet her and introduce her to you as well. Her story is amazing. And of course, more on Princess Catherine's cancer diagnosis as well. Don't forget to send in your well wishes for the Princess. This is Saturday Morning Live, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall?
Let's find out together.
For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
GB News is the home of free speech. We were created to champion it, and we deliver it day in, day out.
Free speech allows us all to explore and debate openly the issues most important to us, our families, and of course, the British people.
Having challenging conversations to enlighten each other.
Which is why we hear all sides of the argument.
We are the People's Channel.
We will always stand by the freedom to express yourself.
On TV, radio, and online.
This is GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Mark Dolan Tonight, weekends from 9 p.m.
I've personally been very torn on whether Prince Harry should have full police protection when he's in the United Kingdom. On the one hand, why should taxpayers fork out for somebody that's left the country and the institution? He is no longer a working, serving royal. But I don't think it matters. He is one of the most famous men in the world, and whether he's a royal or not, he is an ambassador for this country. And he still does good. Charitable causes, the Invictus Games, and he is still a nice and charming guy with a heart. And whilst he has left the royal family and departed these shores, he was and remains the son of King Charles. That is a biological fact. Well, let's hope so. And it wasn't his choice to be born into royalty. It wasn't his choice to be the son of the king. And for that reason, I think he should have equal police protection to his brother William when he is in this country. He couldn't be a more high-profile figure, and unfortunately, like all the royals, Harry will be a target for some very bad people. I fear that if, God forbid, anything happened to him or his family, the authorities would have blood on their hands. So, it's not often that I back Prince Harry, but on this one, he has my support. Look what happened to his poor mum, killed in a Paris tunnel in the 1990s with an allegedly drunk chauffeur. A top royal security insider recently told me that Diana would still be with us today if she had had top royal protection at that time. So let's not make the same mistake twice. Prince Harry needs full protection and the best we've got. Yes, he might be a numpty, but he's our numpty.
Welcome back to Saturday Morning Live. Loads of you getting in touch with your well wishes for Princess Catherine after, of course, she revealed her cancer battle last night in a really emotional video. Loads of you getting in touch. Susan says, being a mother and a grandmother, I worry about the princess and I wish her peace and protection. That's lovely, isn't it? She was so brave and I admire her. I had cancer of the throat and horrendous 6 weeks of radiation, so I can really relate to what she's going through. Well, Susan, wishing you well as well, and thank you so much for your email.
Yeah, Dee says, good morning, Dee. I'm so very upset for Catherine and her family. However, I'm also furious that she's been pushed into revealing this due to the vile so-called people on social media. And you're quite right, actually. I did something as very simple as posting that story from The Sun last week of Catherine at the farm shop, and I said, isn't it great to see her out and about? And honestly, I'm not going to bother wasting any more time on them, but the abuse I got...
Was it bad?
Oh, my goodness me. And the conspiracy theories...
What, people saying it wasn't her and things like that?
Yeah, like questioning my integrity for even public... I was just like, you guys need to go and get a hobby or something.
Well, I think, if anything, it is very, very sad that she felt forced to put out that video last night. And I think it was very intentional that, you know, you could see the daffodils behind her. You could tell that it was spring. You could tell that it had been filmed this week. But she had to do that in a way to quieten down all the conspiracy theories that we've seen in the past few weeks. And actually, it's sad that that's what she's had to do, but it's worked, hasn't it?
And everything that's happened over previous months, the mistake with the Mother's Day picture that she edited and people, you know, found out, everything makes sense now because the pressure she's been under, the online abuse, the speculation, and, of course, dealing with her medical condition, you can see why that kind of mistake would happen.
Yeah, you can. And Ray says, like most people in this land, I'm deeply saddened by this news. She's presented herself with great dignity and composure, and I hope that she makes a complete recovery. GB News has reported this news and comments with great compassion. Good. And that is what we are trying to do. We're not speculating on how long this is going to go on for or indeed what cancer she has. We just wish her well, and I'm sure you do as well.
I also think we should be very positive from here on because she said she's going to be OK, she's fine, she's strong, so, yeah, let's be buoyant.
Yeah, and do keep those views coming in. gbviews@gbnews.com. Now, of course, this is news that has shocked the royal family and indeed the world.
Yeah, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry and Meghan, they're said to have only heard about the diagnosis shortly before the news was made public. And in a brief statement last night, they said they wish health and healing for Catherine.
They added that they hope that Catherine and the family could heal privately and in peace. So, could Catherine's diagnosis bring the family back together?
Joining us now to discuss this is royal reporter Sarah Louise Robertson. Good morning, Sarah Louise.
Good morning
what
to you
did
both.
you make of Harry and Meghan's statement last night?
I thought it was interesting, the use of the word privacy, when they have been anything but private when it comes to talking about members of the royal family. Particularly, a lot of that trolling you were alluding to earlier has come from members of the Sussex squad, as they're known as, their followers. But anyway, it's good that they have reached out and said something, and I think when a crisis like this happens, it can often bring families back together. And the fact that Prince Harry has reached out to his brother, Prince William, they've had personal contact for the first time. Yes. So Harry made contact last night with William. I think there's been some text messages, some exchanges, and the fact that that has happened shows that there could now be maybe a thawing and a bit of an olive branch between the two families. And I think, wouldn't it be lovely if Harry could just make that apology? This is the time where you have to put all that bad blood behind you and just come together as a family. Catherine's diagnosis has it just puts everything into perspective. The silly things that they were feuding about seem so futile. I mean, they were so petty anyway, but even more now, that just shows that to be the case, and it's like time to get serious and be a family. So I think this would be really lovely if there could be a thawing between William and his brother. Let's just start with those two, and let the two brothers try and come back together. But it would require Prince Harry making a full apology and saying, look, I'm really sorry for everything that I've
I think that's what William wants, isn't it?
Yeah, if he could do that, if he could be the bigger man here, and maybe he has, and says, look, I'm really sorry for what we've done. I regret all of it. We just want to be there now for Catherine, for you, and to help the family. that would be incredible.
Well,
that would be
let's hope
wonderful.
so. And perhaps Catherine will be the secret ingredient here for these brothers, because we know that Catherine and Harry had such a close relationship, didn't they, when he was a single man?
Yeah.
The three of them were always together, weren't they? So perhaps she will be the secret to those two brothers coming back together.
That's correct, Ellie. And Prince Harry always said Princess Catherine was the big sister he had never had. He'd always wanted a sister growing up, and she sort of came in and fulfilled that role. And they were such a tight unit. They really were. And him and his brother, Harry and William, were such a tight unit. And they were the three. And they always wanted Harry to meet somebody so they could be the Fab Four. And they were and they were welcoming of Meghan, despite everything that Meghan and Harry have claimed otherwise. They were welcoming of Harry finding a love and getting married and moving on with his life. And then obviously everything went wrong, as we've seen. But I think this could be great now for them to just be able to come back together, well, at least for Harry and his brother to come back together, that can happen. And I know Harry will be so distressed that this has happened to Catherine. He will.
Because, you know, Sarah Louise, what struck me yesterday was that obviously I felt for Catherine, I thought of the children. Those were the first two people I thought of. And then I thought of Prince William, because he must feel so much pressure now with his king, obviously, in the cancer diagnosis.
Hugely.
His wife and her cancer diagnosis. We had this slimmed-down monarchy.
And do you know what, as well?
Yeah.
William and Harry, of course, grew up without their mother. They lost their mother young. And I was thinking, is William now looking at his own kids, fearing that his own children would potentially be growing up without a mother as well?
Yeah, well, they've always... That shadow has always hung over those two lads' lives. It has. And that's why they were always each other's rocks and each other's backbones. And then, obviously, the split came. But now, as you say, William is carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. So he does need someone to be a rock in his corner, because he's having to be a rock for everybody else. But who's Prince William got?
This is what I was thinking last night. This is when you would lean on your brother.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so sad that he doesn't have that brother there.
And that's what I thought. This is the time now that he needs Prince Harry to come in and just help and just shoulder some of that responsibility, but also that emotional burden. So William's got someone trusted that he can phone up and say, look, this is happening. I'm having a really bad day. You know, and just go and have a drink with, just that brotherly love.
But Harry really did blow up that trust, didn't he?
He did, completely.
It must be such a challenge for William to let him back in.
I mean, I'm not saying there could be any thawing between Meghan and Catherine yet. I think
small steps, as you said.
Very small steps. Let's just start with the brothers.
Yeah.
That's what we need to start with, is just getting the brothers back together and take it from there. But hopefully this can be the start of maybe a positive can come out of this horrible, terrible situation, which has shocked all of us. It really has, to the core.
No, it's Thank you so much, Sarah Louise. Good to see you this morning.
Thanks.
Don't go anywhere, as we are going to meet our greatest Briton, who is very, very cute this week. You won't want to miss that. We're also going to be getting to the bottom of elitism in shopping. This is Saturday Morning Live on GB News.
Big news, big debates, big opinion. Patrick Christie's Tonight is the week's biggest show. Every weekday, 9 to 11 p.m, we've got the inside track on the day's top stories. There'll be sharp takes you won't get anywhere else. We will set the news agenda, not just follow it, and I want to bring you along for the ride. Whatever it is, we'll have our finger on the pulse. It's news, but it's this close to entertainment. Patrick Christie's Tonight, 9 to 11 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope.
And I'm Gloria Di Piero, bringing you
PMQ's live here on GB News.
Whenever Parliament is in session on a Wednesday at midday, we'll bring you live coverage of Prime Minister's questions. We'll be asking our viewers and listeners to submit the questions that they would like to put to the Prime Minister, and we'll put that to our panel of top politicians in our Westminster studio.
That's PMQ's live here on GB News, Britain's election channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Is the brand of toothpaste super important here, or is it more about the toothbrush? Because I was told a long time ago by my dentist, electric toothbrush, Pip, that is the way to go.
You're exactly right. I mean, the action of mechanically removing plaque, so using a brush, is much more effective than the brand of toothpaste itself. But in terms of the ingredient in toothpaste that we're looking for, it's something called fluoride. And fluoride is essential to help remineralize and strengthen our teeth. It's really important to use a toothpaste with fluoride. And in terms of brushing, using an electric toothbrush is just much easier. You know, you're brushing your teeth first thing in the morning, last thing at night. You're going to be a bit tired in those times. So using an electric toothbrush, you just hold it against your tooth and gum and it does all the work for you. So it's just much easier in my opinion.
But you have to use your electric toothbrush properly.
You're exactly right. Yeah, there is a technique of actually brushing your teeth, although it sounds really simple. With an electric toothbrush, you have to hold it against the tooth and the gum. Ideally, you want a pressure sensor in that toothbrush so you know exactly when you're pressing too hard. But if you're using a manual toothbrush, you need to move it around and small circular motions. But actually what I see is people who use manual toothbrushes, they tend to over scrub and over brush, which can actually lead to gum recession and your enamel thinning long term.
Sometimes I will get up in the morning and I will have breakfast and then I'll brush my teeth. Is that wrong?
Unfortunately, that's wrong. So the best time to brush your teeth is first thing in the morning, as soon as you wake up. If you're brushing after you eat and after breakfast, you're brushing your teeth in that weakened acidic state. So your teeth are actually under attack and they're much more vulnerable.
Welcome back to Saturday Morning Live. Really good to have your company this morning. Don't miss out now on your chance to win our Great British Spring giveaway. You've got tech, treats and £12,345 in tax-free cash. It's an amazing prize and it could all be yours. Here's how you can enter.
There's still time to win our giveaway packed with seasonal essentials. First, there's an incredible £12,345 in tax-free cash to be won. Cash to make your bank account bloom. Plus a spring shopping spree with £500 in shopping vouchers to spend in the store of your choice. And finally, a garden gadget package including a handheld games console, a portable smart speaker and a pizza oven. For another chance to win the vouchers, the treats and £12,345 in tax-free cash, text GBWIN to 84902. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or post your name and number to GB03 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday the 29th of March. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if watching or listening on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck indeed. Now, let us know what you think about this. Luxury brand Hermes has faced controversy this week with two shoppers in California suing them for only selling their famous Birkin handbags, they're about £10,000, to those deemed worthy enough.
Yeah, the sought-after bags retail from £9,000 up to a colossal £150,000 in store, and they're considered to be the ultimate status symbol.
Well, here to unpack all of this with us is fashion guru and former head buyer at ASOS, Mo Ashodi. Really good to see you this morning.
Hello.
Mo.
Hi.
So for people who aren't familiar, tell us about Hermes, because there is this fashion folklore about Hermes and how you get a Birkin bag, and it's not easy, is it?
It is not easy. I think if anybody, Joe Public, had enough money, had £8,000 spare that they'd like to spend on a Birkin, you'd assume that you'd be able to walk into the store, ask to see a Birkin and walk out of the store.
You would think.
Is that a Birkin on the screen now?
That's a Birkin.
Right.
That is a Birkin.
You won't unsee it.
Grand.
Oh,
that is a
that's the
crocodile.
cheapest.
Right.
Cheapest. That's probably about 150, isn't it?
Okie dokie.
That's a black
small fry.
one.
Small fry.
But the way that Hermes works at the moment is that you have to have a purchase history with the brand, right? Before you're even offered a bag, before you can even look at...
Unofficially.
Yes.
Unofficially. This is what the lawsuit is about. It's been alleged that these customers in California were shopping in Hermes and they wanted to buy a Birkin, but they were advised that they would be required to buy additional products in order to even be shown a Birkin, yet alone be able to buy it.
Is that legal?
So it comes under something called tie-in, where you are not allowed as a retailer to force a customer or coerce a customer into buying additional products in order to secure the product that they want. So
why are they doing it? In layman's terms, are they just trying to protect the luxury status symbol of the brand? Is that what they're doing?
So there's control. How Hermes have become successful is that there isn't much product. These bags are really scarce and there's a really big demand. So therefore, the value of them and the price of them is crazy. Like, there's one that sold for over £400,000 at auction. There's so much desire for them. You see countless celebrities, from people like Victoria Beckham, who apparently has a huge collection of them, to people like Kim Kardashian, carrying these bags. So there's a lot of desire for them. So if I can't walk into a store and just walk out with one, and if there's not that many, how does the brand determine who they're going to sell the bags to?
And what do you think of this, Mo, as a way to run a business, as a fashion expert? Because it is a status symbol, the Birkin. Do you think it's OK to allow it to become so exclusive that only very few people can actually own one? Or do you think it's not actually a very good thing for a brand?
It's a tricky point. I think most things which are exclusive become extremely desirable. There's something in that, of having something that isn't mass market. Hermes pitch it that these bags are craftsmanship, that they can take up to 18 hours of handmaking by a very talented, skilled craftsman to create this bag. They're also an investment. People perceive it as a piece of art. The moment you walk out of the store with a Hermes, that product has already doubled in value if it's a Birkin bag. The resale value is probably 2 to 3 times whatever you would pay for it in store. Is it fair, or is that just the world that we live in, that some products are so expensive that not everybody can have them?
Do you know Rolex do the same thing? If you go into a Rolex store now, you can't buy one off the shelf. They say the waiting list is maybe 3 or 4 years, and what that does is that bumps up the price in the second-hand market. So, and they do it intentionally. There's no way that Rolex couldn't just make more watches.
Yeah, it's all about scarcity. It's about scarcity. Scarcity maintains the brand's allure. It makes it something super special that people will aspire to. It's a marketing strategy.
So it is happening across the board, and there'll be people watching and listening who just say, well, isn't that the brand's prerogative? If that's what they want to do, if you have that type of money and you want to then go after that brand, then that's fabulous. But if you don't, well, you can't.
That's true. There'll be some people that just agree with it and just say that is the nature of these designer products. Yeah. There'll be other people, I mentioned this to my brother, and he was like, this is ridiculous. If you don't want it, just go and buy it from somewhere else.
I don't mind it. I support them because there's been so many brands that I've liked. I know you do, yeah. There's been so many brands that I've liked. For example, I told you off air, on a very lower level, North Face, the mountaineering company, they do still make some great stuff, but it's become so popular. It's sold in high street shops, JD Sports, and really, I don't want to wear the brand anymore. Balenciaga as well, they've become really mainstream.
It's a real issue that a lot of designer and luxury houses are fully aware of. Like, how do you make enough money on your product to be a really successful brand, but stop it being so everywhere and so mass market that it loses its appeal? Because that is the nature of what happens. If you see something too often you do not want it anymore.
Yeah. Really good to see you this morning, Mo. Thank you so much for unpicking all of that
Love
for us.
You.
Let us know what you make of that story. GBNews@gbnews.com. I know you'll have an opinion on that one.
Have you got an Hermes? Is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, I wish I had an Hermes.
Hermes, sorry.
We have to teach Ben how to say all these.
Common as muck.
We couldn't say, what was it, ASOS?
I said ASOS a few weeks ago. Actually, when we just saw Mo coming in a second ago, I said, oh, it's ASOS, former buyer.
Yeah, and you called it... What were you calling Hermes? Hermes, yeah. Anyway, we'll get there with him.
I'm a man of the people. All right, thanks, Mo. That's great. Coming up, we're going to be meeting this week's Greatest Britain. She's a true ray of sunshine. I can't wait. This is Saturday Morning Live on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Morning, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News.
Pretty chilly out there this morning and a colder feel all weekend. Heavy downpours today for most of us. Tomorrow looks a better bet for a drier and a brighter day. There's some sunshine to be had this morning, but the cloud is bubbling up pretty quickly and we'll see showers become fairly widespread by late morning. Heavy downpours, some hail already in places and further thunderstorms are possible. More snow on the hills across Scotland and even the higher parts of northern England, parts of the Pennines could see further snow showers as well. There will be some sunshine, but there's a brisk and cold wind. These are the top temperatures. Most of this week we've been in the mid-teens across the south, single digits for most of us at best today. Still quite a few of those showers around this evening, still very gusty, particularly so in the far northeast where the showers just keep on coming. More snow on the hills here through the night. Elsewhere it does turn a little bit drier and there'll be some decent clear spells. Again, it will turn pretty chilly, temperatures well down into single figures, but that breeze should stop too much in the way of frost. A cold start though to Sunday, but overall a brighter, drier day tomorrow. Not completely dry, there'll still be a few showers, particularly North Wales, maybe some feeding down through the Cheshire Gap, a few over eastern England and still some over northern Scotland. Still quite blustery along those eastern coasts as well, but elsewhere the wind's lighter. Many places will be dry, and with those lighter winds, it'll feel just a touch warmer as well. Goodbye. GB News is the home of free speech. We were created to champion it, and we deliver it day in, day out.
Free speech allows us all to explore and debate openly the issues most important to us, our families, and of course, the British people.
Having challenging conversations to enlighten each other.
Which is why we hear all sides of the argument.
We are the People's Channel.
We will always stand by the freedom to express yourself.
On TV, radio and online.
This is GB News,
Britain's news channel.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Back to Saturday Morning Live with me and Ben Leo. Loads of you getting in touch this morning, sending your well wishes to the Princess of Wales. Thank you so much. Do keep them coming in. Thomas says, may the whole world wish the Princess of Wales well and a speedy recovery. She is a blessing to the world that we live in. The most beautiful, kind, caring and selfless woman.
Yeah.
It's a really lovely message.
Carol says, what an amazing woman. I wish her my heartfelt best wishes. And Graham adds to that. He says, she's quite remarkable. This is a woman of the year.
Oh, that's lovely.
Very sweet.
I think a lot of people have been really quite emotional over this news, haven't they? And this is what one of the views says. It's Sodder has been in touch saying, I could not sleep last night, all night. I was worrying about the 3 children of the Princess of Wales. I'm absolutely devastated.
That's what it was for me, the parental aspect. As we touched on earlier, it's putting yourself in the shoes of the mother or the father and having to explain to your young kids your situation.
I think it was absolutely class, actually, the way that they have handled it as a couple. The fact that they didn't tell anybody, they didn't make it public until yesterday because they wanted to wait until the children were off for Easter.
Yeah.
Because they knew this would be big news and they knew they could take those children and head up to Norfolk or wherever they've gone. And
I think there's
classy.
Definitely a lot of positives to take from this situation. She's raised awareness about something very serious. We can see how brave and courageous she's been. The future of the monarchy is in safe hands.
Yeah, and do you know what also really touched me was at the end of that video message last night, giving her love and best wishes to other people affected by cancer.
Yeah, that would have meant a lot to a lot of people.
A testament, really, to what a selfless person she is.
For
She's
sure.
going through her own battle and she made it about other people. So do keep those views coming in on the Princess of Wales or indeed anything else that we're talking about this morning. gbviews@gbnews.com.
Yes, now, on this show, we're all about shining a light on amazing people who do amazing things, and this is one of my favourite segments of the show. This week, we're meeting a multi-award-winning kidtrepreneur.
Yes, very good.
Elora Louison. Is that how you pronounce your
Laura
name?
Lee Lewison.
Lee Lewison, apologies. But you can call her Elo Sunshine.
I love that. Well, at just 9 years old, Elo has published 5 self-development journals that allow you to discover your potential whilst having fun.
And after moving to the UK from Paris, aged 4, she found the transition hard, but started journaling to express herself and her feelings.
And after experiencing the benefits of journaling for herself, Elo wanted to help other children who feel sad, angry or upset. And when she was 7 years old, her self-help journal was born.
Oh, so Elo, thank you so much for being with us. I was saying off air to Ellie, what an amazing and inspiring young woman you are. Tell us how this all started. Of course, you moved from Paris to the UK and you wanted to kind of express yourself in writing.
Yes. So, when I was 4 years old, I came to England from France, and it was really, really hard for me to understand the language, how to make friends and read. And one day my parents bought me a notebook because they could see I was struggling to speak English. And when I finished my notebook, I started doing all the designs and all the colouring in the notebook. When I finished, I went up to my mum and said, why don't we create our own journal? And she said, yes, of course, why didn't we think of that? So I went in my bedroom, did all the designs and everything that I wanted to include in my journal. And I went up to my mum, I gave her all the things I wanted, and she found a printer to print my journal, and yes.
Wow. Oh, Elo, you are absolutely amazing. Your smile is infectious. That's why they call you Elo Sunshine, don't they? So you've helped so many other children, which is just so amazing. You've used your creativity to help other children. And do you know what? I asked to see one of your Sunshine journals and they couldn't show it to me because it's all sold out because you were just that popular. So what have other kids said to you when they have this journal? You must help so many of them.
Yeah, I do. They always say, oh, thank you so much, it really helps me. I'm really glad that you work here because I also need this journal to help me.
Laura, why do you think it's important to document your feelings like you do in a journal?
Well, because I remember the time I came to England and it was really hard for me, so I thought if I helped other children with their emotions, it would also make them feel safe. And yes.
Do you think it helps to get your feelings out instead of holding them inside and bottling them up? Because that will make you sad, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've spotted the most beautiful medal on your chest. That beautiful blue medal. Do you want to tell us about that?
So this medal is from the BCYA, the British Citizen Youth Award, and I was selected across the UK with 24 children.
Wow.
And yes.
And what was that like when you won that award?
I was really, really happy because it was showing part of my community and it was really good.
And you are just 9 years old and you have built up this amazing community around you. We just spotted your mum and dad here, so they are your team, aren't they? And they really help you, don't they?
My family's also my team as well.
Oh. And how do they help you? Do they help you with the designs?
Yes, they help me with designs, they help me with the colouring and with the colours that I wanted in my journal, and yes.
You are a superstar, let me tell you that, and I know our viewers will... Oh, there we go, there's one of your journals on the screen.
Yeah.
So you designed that yourself?
Yes, I designed that myself.
Explain the design process. Where do you start? Do you have an idea in your head or do you just put pen to paper? How does it work?
I had an idea in my head, and my mum had a really large notebook. So I started writing all the things before going to bed. Then I gave it to my mum, and then she took it and then started to add more details to it so that we could put it on my journal and we could print it.
Laura, this is just the start, I feel. They call you the kid-trepreneur, don't they? Because you're an entrepreneur, but you're still a kid.
Yes.
So what next for you? Where do you see this going?
So I actually want my book to go worldwide to help more children with their emotions. And yes.
I see you being a huge author. I'll say it now. Author and illustrator. Would you like that?
Yes.
Or Prime Minister, maybe one day.
Ooh.
Laura, can you give some tips for any young viewers watching at the moment? Some maybe 3 things to write down that would help them with their self-development and also their emotions?
I would give this tip: always believe in yourself, and you are full of potential.
Oh, that is just...
You are a wise head on young shoulders, young lady.
Well, Laura, it's been an absolute honour to meet you this morning. Thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about your journal, and congratulations on being our Greatest Britain of the Week.
Well done.
You're an absolute superstar, and there's so much more coming from you, I think. You're going to be very, very famous one day.
Thank
and
you.
Congratulations as well on your British citizenship.
And if anyone wants to get a journal, where should they go?
They should go on my website, ILHO, Elo Sunshine.
I love that. Who came up with that name? Was that you?
Well, it's me and my parents, because when I wake up, I'm always like a shining star, and I bring joy.
Oh, I love you.
I can see that. You're an absolute superstar, and your parents are so proud of you. You're the best. Really lovely to meet you, Laura.
Well done,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, loads more emails coming in on the Princess of Wales. Just wanted to share some of these with you. Anita says, I just want to send my love to the Princess of Wales. I had cancer of the uterus and the womb when I was just 34. It just goes to show, doesn't it? It can happen at any age. I had surgery and then radium treatment. I'm now nearly 80 years old. Wow, Anita, that is incredible. She says to the Princess of Wales, you have this and you will come through it. Love and healing thoughts always.
And Thomas says, may the whole world wish the Princess of Wales well and a speedy recovery. She's a blessing, the most beautiful, kind, caring and selfless person.
And really, I think that coming out in this way, she has absolutely changed the narrative, hasn't she, of the past few weeks?
100%.
And now I hope she just feels the nation's love and well wishes behind her, because she's got them all. Do stay with us. You've got lots more to come, including our showbiz selection with Ellie Phillips, more on today's top stories. And, of course, it's Chico time, so don't go anywhere.
Looks like things are heating up. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll start the weekend on a very showery note across the UK, quite a chilly northwesterly wind too, but turning brighter as we head into Sunday. Low pressure is anchored towards the northeast of the UK at the moment, a very strong northwesterly airflow feeding lots of showers in across the UK. So it will be a very showery afternoon across all parts. Some of those showers heavy, turning thundery, with some snow across the hills towards the north. And although temperatures climbing to around about where they should be for the time of year, in the range 8 to 10 degrees, and on the effect of that north to northwesterly airstream, it's going to feel much colder out and about. So temperatures of 8 to 10 degrees, feeling more like 3 or 4. So you will need to wrap up warm if you're heading out this afternoon. As we head into the evening and during the overnight period, hold on to plenty of showers through the evening, but those showers will become more isolated, more focused towards north and northwestern facing areas as we head into the early hours of Sunday. And with clear spells developing inland, it will turn quite chilly. Could see a touch of frost by the morning on Sunday, even though in towns and cities, temperatures holding up at 4 to 6 Celsius. As we head into Sunday, a much quieter day on the whole, still 1 or 2 showers feeding in from the north and northwest, but with more in the way of sunshine, lighter winds, it should feel better out and about. Temperatures climbing to 10, 11, possibly even 12 or 13 degrees down towards the south and southeast. 13 is 55 in Fahrenheit. So all in all, a much better day in store for the bulk of the UK as we head into the second part of the coming weekend.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
There's still time to win our giveaway packed with seasonal essentials. First, there's an incredible £12,345 in tax-free cash to be won. Cash to make your bank account bloom. Plus a spring shopping spree with £500 in shopping vouchers to spend in the store of your choice. And finally, a garden gadget package, including a handheld games console, a portable smart speaker and a pizza oven. For another chance to win the vouchers, the treats and £12,345 £145 in tax-free cash, text GBWin to 84902. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or post your name and number to GB03 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday the 29th of March. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if watching or listening on demand. Good luck.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall?
Let's find out together.
For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, every Sunday at 9:30 when I'll be interviewing the key players in British politics and taking them to task.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial.
With an upcoming election looming over Westminster, now is the time for clear, honest answers.
I agree.
And that's precisely what I'll get.
Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's election channel.
GB News is the home of free speech. We were created to champion it, and we deliver it day in, day out.
Free speech allows us all to explore and debate openly the issues most important to us, our families, and of course, the British people.
Having challenging conversations to enlighten each other.
Which is why we hear all sides of the argument.
We are the People's Channel.
We will always stand by the freedom to express yourself.
On TV, radio and online.
This is GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Big news, big debates, big opinion. Patrick Christie's Tonight is the week's biggest show. Every weekday, 9 to 11 p.m, we've got the inside track on the day's top stories. There'll be sharp takes you won't get anywhere else. We will set the news agenda, not just follow it, and I want to bring you along for the ride. Whatever it is, we'll have our finger on the pulse. It's news, but it's this close to entertainment. Patrick Christie's Tonight, 9 to 11 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning, I'm Ellie Costello alongside Ben Leo, and this is Saturday Morning Live.
Really good to have your company this morning. We've got an action-packed show coming up.
We certainly do. We'll have all of the day's top stories, including the news of the Princess of Wales's cancer diagnosis, which she revealed last night in an emotional video as she now undergoes preventative chemo.
Yes, and all of the other stories of the day, including with our panel today, broadcaster and author Jenny Trent-Hughes and Olympian Chris Akabusi. And at least 115 people are now believed to have been killed and a further 140 wounded following that devastating gun attack at a concert hall in Moscow yesterday.
And of course, we'll get all of the latest showbiz news as David Potts has been declared the winner of Celebrity Big Brother 2024. Ellie Phillips will be giving us all the latest. And Ben, I've got a question for you.
Yes.
What time is it?
What time is it? What time is it?
What time is it?
What time is it? I think it's soon to be Chico time. We're going to be joined by the one and only Chico later on in the show to find out exactly what he's been getting up to since those infamous X Factor days. Remember those? And his pop star career.
Yes, we can't wait for that. That's going to be a really good chat.
Do you want to give us a Chico spin? You know,
what is a Chico spin?
A little flick of the ankle, then a turn.
Oh, like that.
That's it. There we go.
Chico turn.
8 out of 10.
Thank you very much. You do yours.
OK, here we go. Don't judge me. Woo!
Oh, yeah, very good. That was quite good, actually.
Score?
Very good. I'll give you a 7.
OK, have you an 8?
Room for improvement.
Oh, OK.
I know.
All right.
I think mine was better.
See how we do.
Do keep your views coming in. This show is nothing without you. We've had so many well wishes for the Princess of Wales, so do keep them coming in. gbviews@gbnews.com.
Yes, but before we do anything else, Aaron has all your news headlines.
Good morning to you. It's 2 minutes past 11. I'm Aaron Armstrong in the GB newsroom. The King has praised Princess Kate's courage in speaking out about her treatment for cancer. She says it's taken time to explain her diagnosis to her 3 young children, which came as a huge shock. The Princess of Wales began a course of preventative chemotherapy last month. The King, who himself was diagnosed with cancer in February, is said to be in the closest contact with his beloved daughter-in-law. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have sent wishes of health and healing, saying they hope Kate and her family can recover privately and in peace. Kate revealed the news in a video message yesterday.
It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who have taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful. In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment.
GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker's outside Windsor Castle. He says Britain's united in wishing Her Royal Highness a speedy recovery.
There's been an enormous outpouring of love and support for the Princess of Wales since she released that powerful video message to the nation explaining her cancer diagnosis. A member of the public here at Windsor Castle early this morning laid some flowers at the gates. The police have now taken the flowers inside. No word yet as to exactly where those flowers are going to be going. Of course, the Princess lives in Adelaide Cottage in the grounds of Windsor Castle with Prince William and her 3 young children, but online as well, on the internet, social media and emails, there has been a huge outpouring of support. Grown men have written into GB News admitting they have been in tears for the Princess's diagnosis. But of course the Princess, I'm told, remains in good spirits and she is very much focused on her recovery.
And GB News has been speaking to people on the streets of Birmingham. They have sent their well wishes to the future Queen.
It's got shocking, really. She's got young kids, she's got a family. I think that's probably the more upsetting thing about everything. The public eye and things doesn't really matter at the minute, does it?
I think it was a brave decision, and I think that will just awaken people's minds to how troublesome cancer is, and to be checked out themselves.
Yeah, it's very shocking, really, and obviously, you know, it's 1 in 2 people are getting cancer now, so I think we all should be a little bit more respectful and just let her get on with it, and you know, to recover with her family and just lay off her a little bit. You know, I think she had a lot of scrutiny over the last few weeks.
Russian authorities have arrested 4 people suspected of carrying out the terror attack in Moscow last night. At least 115 people were killed and 145 injured when gunmen opened fire at a concert hall on the outskirts of the capital. The US says Islamic State's claim of responsibility is credible, but Moscow is continuing to lay the blame on Ukraine. The FSB security service says all 4 terrorists were heading towards the Ukrainian border when they were detained. Earlier, reports said passports were found in a getaway car suggesting the suspects were from Tajikistan, which is a former Soviet state. At least 1 senior Russian politician has already flagged a military response against Ukraine. Kyiv has denied any involvement. Gareth Southgate says the 3 Lions crest is the most important part of England's new team shirt. Kit designer Nike has added purple and blue to the St George's Cross design on the back of the collar in what it says is a playful update, prompting criticism from the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition. The FA has defended the changes, saying it's a tribute to the 1966 World Cup winning team. And finally, some good news if you're planning a summer holiday. Despite the rising cost of living, some popular getaways are getting more affordable. Post Office Travel Money says British holidaymakers are paying less for food and drinks than a year ago, thanks in part to foreign currencies weakening against the pound. A survey of key expenses found Hoi An in Vietnam to be the most affordable destination. A 3-course meal there with a bottle of wine set you back just under £40. Cape Town and Tokyo also on the list, but amongst the most expensive places, New York, Costa Rica and St Lucia. You can sign up to GB News Alerts by scanning the QR code on your screen or go to gbnews.com/alerts. And now it is back to Ellie and Ben.
Thanks, Aaron, and welcome to Saturday Morning Live. The time is 7 minutes past 11, and let's take a look at our top story this morning. It is indeed the only story on the front of the papers today.
Yeah.
The news that shocked the world last night. The Princess of Wales bravely telling the world that she is undergoing chemotherapy for cancer in an emotional video message.
Yes, the Princess said it was a huge shock and that the past couple of months had been incredibly tough for her family. We're joined now by GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker, who is outside Windsor Castle. Cameron, what's the latest?
Well, Ben, there's been an enormous amount of public support here in Windsor and indeed around the world overnight since the Princess released that very personal message telling the world of her cancer diagnosis. Now, early this morning, flowers were left by a member of the public outside Windsor Castle gates. The police have taken them inside the grounds. I can now tell you, I understand the Princess has been informed of those flowers being left for her this morning. Of course, last night she thanked the public in that message for the kind messages of support over the last few months since her abdominal surgery. It's clearly a lot for her to take in, as well as her husband, Prince William, whose wife has just been diagnosed with cancer, or has been diagnosed with cancer, and indeed his father, the King. And he will now have to balance his time between looking after and supporting his wife and young children and his constitutional role as heir apparent and future king, carrying on with those royal duties. But the priority for the Prince and Princess of Wales has always been their children, and they chose the right time. They wanted to choose the right time to tell them in their own way about the Princess's cancer diagnosis. And now that the three children are off school for the Easter holidays, that is why the Princess decided last night was the right time to tell the world and give an update on her health. We've had messages of support close to the Princess of Wales as well, publicly. So Charles Spencer, the brother of the late Princess Diana, he says that the Princess's message showed incredible strength and poise. The King's spokesperson also released a statement last night saying that His Majesty is proud of his beloved daughter-in-law and for her courage. James Middleton, Princess Catherine's brother as well, posted an Instagram message where he said, "Over the years, we have climbed many mountains together. As a family, we will climb this one with you too." And it was accompanied by a picture of the two of them as children. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have also sent their messages of support. There has been huge interest in the Princess of Wales over the last few months. Lots of unfounded, harsh conspiracy theories online. But what the Princess wants now, as she said in her message last night, is the time, space and privacy to complete that preventative chemotherapy, that cancer treatment. She's 42 years old. She will be receiving the best possible care this country can offer. And I think what she wants and what she asks is that she can be left alone to do so in peace with her family at this difficult time.
Indeed. Cameron Walker, thank you very much indeed. Well, we're now joined by broadcaster and author Jenny Trent-Hughes, Olympian Chris Akabusi and showbiz reporter Stephanie Tecci. And Stephanie, I wanted to start with you because I'm sure you were the same. In that emotional video last night from Catherine, I was most struck by how she was going to tell her children, and that did seem to be her priority, didn't it?
And that should be at the forefront for Catherine, for William and for the public, because I think looking at that video, while it's nice that we all know now what's going on with Catherine, the main thing is she is a mother of three, and that is at the forefront of her mind, how to tell her children this news, and also to make them feel, as she said, that she is okay and she's going to be okay. And I think what's happened, there's been so much intrusion worldwide from different sectors of the media, social media, and you can imagine for young kids, if they're going to get a whiff of it from school or where else, it's very heartbreaking. So I think this video, even though it's nice that she's put it out there and the whole of the nation are behind her, let's think about these three children here, because she is a mother more than anything else.
I mean, impossible question to answer, I guess, but how do you even begin to tell your kids something like that?
I really wouldn't even, as you said, it's impossible to answer, and I just think she's such a great mother, and as she says, she has that support from William, so I think as a family now, they can be away from the limelight and they can really think about what's coming ahead over the next few weeks, months or even maybe years.
Well, let's hope now that people give them the respect and the privacy that they so desperately need. Look, let's take a look at some other stories that are in the news this morning, even though that is, of course, the one that is dominating the papers this morning. This is something entirely different, but I think you'll have an opinion on it. Divorce rings. Now, this is the actress and model Emily Ratajkowski. Now, she has shared images this week of her lounging on a bed with some fabulous
I saw them
on her fingers. She's essentially taken her, is it her wedding ring?
Her wedding ring, redesigned them.
Redesigned it and now wears them proudly as divorce rings.
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
There's always a trend for everything, and I'm here for the divorce rings. I really am, actually. I think it's quite empowering, actually, because
I mean, they are rocks.
I love them, bling, bling all the way.
Rocks, yeah.
But I think even if you get divorced from someone, I think they're still going to be a part of your life. She has a son with her ex-husband, and I think, you know what, sometimes you need to celebrate, actually, you know what, if it didn't work, I still took that step and made a commitment to someone. So I think divorce rings are actually quite cool.
Yeah, I think there's always...
And who wants to give the ring back? I don't.
I'm in your camp today.
But what, people do that?
Well, yeah, this is what Chris was saying, Chris.
Well, they return their rings.
Yeah, they do. They return once the marriage is over. Some people return the rings, or if it's a broken down engagement, they return the ring, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Neither would I.
I think it's crass. Look, each to their own. It wouldn't float my boat. I am a divorcee. I still, I still like my wife, my ex-wife. I've got 2 lovely children of her. And what my wife did is she gave the rings to my second daughter, who really cherished them.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
And then she's repurposed them for her fashion, so they're still in the family. You know, I was a poor kid when I met my ex-wife. We made that commitment to each other. Got 2 lovely children out of our relationship, and you know, I've known my ex-wife for 48 years, married for 22 years. I think that sort of example there. Oh yeah, I found myself, and I empower myself, and I think it does a dishonour to the commitment and the relationship that you had with that significant person, who, if you have children, will be in your life for the rest of your life. So what you do with that one-time gift that he or she gave to you, to say how sacrosanct this relationship is actually important and not just about you.
But Jenny, don't people evolve? People, as we were talking about earlier, you learn lessons from things, your experiences shape you. Isn't it nice to, you know, mark even a failed marriage? It doesn't have to be failed, it's just you're moving on. No?
Well, I'm sort of in 2 camps, because when I was young, somebody gave me an engagement ring that was worth a lot of money. And I broke off the engagement, I gave the ring back. And he said, no, you keep it. And there was like this back and forth. And then he put it back in the box. He says, please, someday you'll need it, you know. And so then I did make another ring out of it. And then when I fell on hard times, I sold it and lived on the money for a year. Wow. However, a divorce ring, I think, is a completely different thing. And when I did get divorced, I went to Paris and I went to the Pompidou Center and stood in front of the Niki Saint-Philaire fountain and said a prayer to my marriage, said a prayer about my son, and threw it over my shoulder.
God. How much was it worth?
It was a Tiffany ring.
Oh.
You could have at least...
I'm diving in, baby!
Last year, I was actually down there, like, poking around. I wonder if miraculously somehow it's still there.
Wow.
Great story. You're full of amazing anecdotes.
I'm a laugh a minute.
You almost had a breakdown there.
No, I really did.
Stephanie would have been there with a metal
I'm going back after it.
Metal detector.
I need it now.
Maybe it's still there. How long ago was that?
14 years ago.
OK. Well, if you're short of a few bob, you could pop down there and get your metal detector out. Shall we move on to this England football shirt, Raoul? Chris, you're a sportsman. What do you make of it? Is it doing a disservice to the nation, or are people overreacting?
Yeah, so again, is anything sacred anymore? Is there anything that we can serve that really means anything, that's part of our DNA? The flag of St George is a very important sign of who we are as a nation. Now, I did hear Gareth Southgate say the most important emblem is the three lions. I agree with him with that, because I remember when I got the message from HOH, the Duke of Edinburgh, saying that I'd been selected to represent England at an event, and how important that was for me. So the three lions are very important, but that flag or that emblem that they've now got on there is not St George. I don't know what it is, but it's not the flag of St George. The flag of is quite iconic. You recognise it, you know what it is, it's pristine, it's clear, and it's got heritage. Whatever they've done, these guys have got some sort of flag on
the
it.
argument is that Nike haven't done this to any other country.
Yeah, I don't... I'm always from that theory, if it's not broke, you don't need to fix it kind of thing. And I was speaking to Dame Kelly Holmes yesterday, but she did make an interesting point to me, because she was saying that if you look through different sports teams, there's all different flags that represent the UK, so there is not one cohesive message here. But with Nike troubling this, it hasn't actually made any sense to me personally, and I think the footballers seem to endorse it, so they're the ones who are going to be wearing it. So if there is a problem, it should be coming from them.
But footballers haven't got a choice, have you? I mean, when you're at the heart of your profession, you're doing your gig, you're just doing your gig, and if your federation go, put that on, son, you put that on.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to kick off.
Yeah, but according to the FA, the reworking of it is a tribute to the 1960 whatever team.
That's what they said, but then loads of pictures were doing the rounds yesterday of the 1966 training kit. I mean, even that is quite an obscure nod to something. It's like the 1966 training kit. But the pictures were doing the rounds, and there was no relevance to it at all. So I don't know what they were thinking, but...
I'm more upset about the cost of the kit.
Oh, my gosh, £125. And do you know where Nike make those kits? Well, for the last World Cup in Qatar, anyway. They made them in Thailand, where workers were getting paid £1 an hour, and Nike and the English FA were keeping most of the money.
Don't blame Nike, blame us who buy them.
Who, sorry?
Blame us who go out and buy those kits.
But the difficulty there is pester power. You can't have a young kid who's 8, 10, 12 who says, mummy, 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 or daddy, 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 I want the England kit. And you say, no, you can't have it because of that. And then he goes and he goes ragtag and bobtail to the gym where all the other kids are pristine, and he's in there in some sort of...
Well, do you know what? I went into Primark the other day, and England have got some sort of deal with Primark where they sell authentic England shirts without the Nike kit. It's got the three line, it looks like a normal kit, and it's a tenner.
Well, we should go out and buy that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the answer.
But then you have to think, how long is that going to exist for one brand one day to want to change that?
A tenner's better than £100+.
Yeah, I agree on that.
But when I was a kid, when I was a kid, you would wear what they call Tesco tearaways, whatever it was then. But anyway, you identify the poor kids because you're in the Primark tenner.
No, but honestly, they look amazing. Yeah, they're top notch. I've got two for my boy. Got the away.
Well,
Tiffany rings in your
Well, thank you. Three really good to see you, Jenny, Chris and Stephanie. Thank you very much indeed. Up next, we're going to be talking about trigger warnings on Shakespeare. What do you make of that? You'll have an opinion. This is Saturday Morning Live on GB News.
Nana Queer, weekends from 3 p.m.
What the hell is going on with the press and the royal family? After the hullabaloo over Photogate, which involved a very badly edited photo by Princess Catherine, poor woman, the press went to town on her. Admittedly, it was full of obvious errors to the trained eye, but so what? On Mother's Day last Sunday, Princess Catherine issued what many thought was a heartfelt picture of her family. It was lovely. In attempting to practice her amateur photoshopping skills, she has caused uproar. An uproar that was enough to put anyone off photography for good. The picture was apparently taken by William and was meant to signify a happy Mother's Day to one and all. After all, we hadn't seen Catherine around for a while since the surgery. Just because Princess Charlotte's wrist didn't match her sleeve and her hair ended abruptly, or Louis's jumper didn't line up and his right hand was blurred. Catherine had a wonky zip and an out-of-focus hand and 3 airbrushed individual hairs. Bless her heart, poor Catherine. Why should she ever want to try it again? This reaction would put any aspiring student off photography for life. Frankly, I couldn't work out what all the fuss was about. In the meantime, Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, on the 4th anniversary of her so-called freedom fight, and just before the tribute to Diana, has launched her new lifestyle brand. Honestly, you couldn't make this up. We got to see a glimpse of her product empire. 4 years to the day they flew to Canada in 2020 for privacy. It feels like longer. Apparently, products will include cookbooks, tableware, various butters and jams, placeholders, not using special precious metals, of course, all the useful, essential stuff. Seriously, most of us are fighting to stay afloat. The release date for all this rubbish overshadowed an award ceremony held in the name of the Princess of Wales. So, Meghan's back.
I'm Christopher Hope.
And I'm Gloria Di Piero, bringing you
PMQ's live here on GB News.
Whenever Parliament is in session on a Wednesday at midday, we'll bring you live coverage of Prime Minister's questions. We'll be asking our viewers and listeners to submit the questions that they would like to put to the Prime Minister, and we'll put that to our panel of top politicians in our Westminster studio.
That's PMQ's live here on GB News, Britain's election channel.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's 11:23. You're with Ben and Ellie on Saturday Morning Live on GB News. Now, at least 143 people are believed to have been killed and a further 140 wounded following that devastating gun attack at a concert hall in Moscow yesterday.
Yes, an affiliate of the Islamic State group has claimed responsibility for the attack, a claim that the United States so far says is credible.
However, the deputy head of Russia's National Security Council has suggested that Ukraine was in fact responsible and has vowed vengeance.
Well, it is certainly very complicated, and this death toll is rising all the time. Well, to discuss this further, we are joined in the studio by defence editor at the Evening Standard, Robert Fox. Very good morning to you, Robert. And it is a very complicated picture this morning, isn't it? We're not even sure who is to blame for this attack at the moment.
Lots of strands. The Americans certainly got some kind of tip-off. How specific it was is far from clear. Certainly the Russians were warned, and certainly in your intro, the bit that is right on, whatever happens, whoever this was, they are desperate for the public narrative. That's what's going to go wall-to-wall on state TV and state-controlled social media, that it's Ukraine to blame. Already there's been rather a timid statement from the FSB, the security service, the massive security service. Oh, the fugitives that they have arrested were heading towards Ukraine because, in quotes, they had contacts there, or they were believed to have had contacts there. It is so thin to the outside world, but there's something rather extraordinary about this, because it looks as if Russia was unaware, unprepared for this, and it's symptomatic of something going on way down south on the borders there, that Russia appears to be losing control of a very fragmented picture in the Caucasus. And it's dangerous, because Russia is losing there and its big ally, Iran, is losing there.
Robert, I remembered stories from a few weeks ago saying that US intelligence had warned Russia that an attack was imminent. Why didn't they take heed of that?
Well, they tried to turn that to an immediate information wars advantage. Oh, the Americans would say this. This was the line that came from Moscow. They're trying to destabilise us. But there is something... it's probably not quite the time and the place to go into it in great detail, but there's something rather crazy and uncontrolled about Russia's immediate foreign policy, which I think ISIL is jumping in on. They're trying to mess around in Syria again. They're expanding in the East Mediterranean. They're trying to take over with they've beefed up the old Wagner Company again, it's now called the Expeditionary Corps. And I think that the Islamists really object to this, particularly with the very peculiar stance they're taking with the Houthis and the Red Sea at the moment. The Houthis have said, well, really, China and Russia are going to back us because we have agreed not to attack Russian and Chinese ships. It is very complicated. But into this, a highly focused group like ISL or ISIS can push in, and it can have devastating effect. And boy, they know better than anybody how to exploit the publicity space.
Excuse my ignorance, but I thought ISIS had been wiped out in Syria.
Never say never with an idea like that, and I'm afraid to say it's absolutely the same predicament we're going to face with Hamas. Yeah, you can kill a whole bunch of fighters. They killed a lot, as you rightly say, in Mosul, but and in Raqqa. Remember,
because it was Russia when they got involved. They were mostly to.
Yeah, and it was huge and it was bloody. But the trouble is that Russia is finding that, particularly in places like the South Caucasus, as I was saying, on their own border, and they've got a large Muslim population inside their own border, they have to go at it again and again and again. And they've got three things on at the moment. They've got Ukraine, they've got that, and they've got they're getting more and more involved, as I said, with Syria, Iraq, and Africa. And for all the way that the Russian economy now, it's a defence economy, it's a military economy, seems to be booming with the high price of oil and so on, they're pretty stretched.
So ISIS growing and back on the map, what does this mean for the UK, if anything?
Well, we've got to take this seriously because ISIS is back and it's going on the offensive. And it's going on the offensive out of Afghanistan, and which means it will go and could go in several directions. And you cannot rule out a spectacular in Europe.
I have to ask you, Robert, is ISIS resurgence in Afghanistan anything to do with Joe Biden's botched evacuation there in, was it 2021?
Joe Biden's botched, but I think the whole policy was a mess for the past 10 years, and you could feel it physically when you were there. And it was not only the US, but its principal towel holder, who was the UK. Our view as to what could be done and should be done about Afghanistan, and particularly at this level on counter-terror, counter-global terror, was unfocused.
Is it fair to say that... Sorry, Ellie.
No.
Is it fair to say that our time and our troops' lives, all the men and women who bravely fought in Afghanistan, has all that gone to waste?
Not necessarily, but in fact, it's what soldiers have to do. They have to fight wars that are wars of choice and that do go wrong. That's part of the business of fighting. But that is very difficult in today's climate to sell. As you probably know, young people are not joining the armed forces, or if they're joining or getting halfway, they're leaving because it's part of the risk, and we are committed. The trouble is that ever since 1989, I think we've sold, and it's come from people at the top of the civil service, that defence is a needless expense. Defence in its widest thing, and it isn't just soldiers in uniforms and glorious parades. It is going to be more and more important. Anything through from food, energy, you name it, and terror has come back on the agenda, and that's what we should pick up from the Moscow Crocus attack.
Yeah, indeed. Robert Fox, really good to see you this morning.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, do stay with us. Lots more to come on the show today, but first, let's get the news headlines with Aaron.
Very good morning to you. It is 11:30. I'm Aaron Armstrong in the GB newsroom. Let's get you up to date with the headlines. The King has praised Princess Kate's courage in speaking out about her treatment for cancer. The Royal Highness says it's taken time to explain her diagnosis to her three young children, which came as a huge shock. The Princess of Wales began a course of preventative chemotherapy last month. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex sent wishes of health and healing, saying they hope Kate and her family can recover privately and in peace. Russian authorities have arrested 4 people suspected of carrying out the concert hall attack in Moscow last night. At least 143 people were killed, with many more injured. The US says Islamic State's claim of responsibility is credible, but Moscow is still suggesting involvement by Ukraine. The FSB security service, as you've been hearing, says all 4 terrorists were heading towards the Ukrainian border when they were arrested. Earlier reports said passports were found in a getaway car, suggesting the suspects were from Tajikistan, a former Soviet state. At least one senior Russian politician's already flagged a military response against Ukraine. Kyiv has denied any involvement. Gareth Southgate says the Three Lions is the most important part of England's new team shirt. Kit designer Nike has added purple and blue to the St George's Cross design in what it says is a playful update, prompting criticism from the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition. But the FA has defended the changes, saying it's a tribute to the 1966 World Cup winning team. And despite the rising cost of living, some popular holidays are getting cheaper, more affordable. Post Office Travel Money says British holidaymakers are paying less for food and drink than a year ago, thanks in part to foreign currencies weakening against the pound. A survey of key expenses found Hoi An in Vietnam to be the most affordable destination, where a 3-course meal with a bottle of wine will set you back just £39. You can get GB News alerts by scanning the QR code on your screen, or you can go to our website, gbnews.com/alerts.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Can you just let us know if there have been people getting into contact with you as a local councillor about how they feel about every lamppost, which is supposed to be public, neutral territory, being covered in these flags? Has it made some of your constituents nervous to walk the streets?
It's a complete range of people, including people who are from the Bangladeshi Muslim community who support the endeavours of Gaza, of what is going on, and are hostile to the actions of the Israeli government, but feel that they shouldn't have these flags on streets. I thought, if you walk down some of the streets, it doesn't look like a London borough. It looks almost like what you would imagine in Ceausescu's Romania, with flags on every street lamp.
Well, Peter, can you let us know what it's like in the council and their activities in Tower Hamlets? How much time, for example, has been spent discussing issues relating to what's happening in the Middle East? Has it dominated quite a lot of time?
No. Let's be absolutely fair to the mayor and the administration. There's a heck of a lot to do in this council. We have extremes of deprivation and, of course, wealth because of the Carey Mawson City Fringe. We have huge problems on the council, and to be fair, the council spends its time doing council matters. And they said initially, in fact, absolutely carefully at council meetings, we can't interfere with foreign policy, but we got a lot to do on national policy and local policy. Let's concentrate on that.
So there hasn't been too much pressure that you can see from people living in the borough for the council to take a stance?
Members of the council and the administration have put their support. As I've said, we're talking of free speech. They're entitled to do that, but it's what happens where the council is responding to absolutely everybody, all 320,000 people who live in our borough.
Big news, big debates, big opinion. Patrick Christie's Tonight is the week's biggest show. Every weekday, 9 to 11 p.m, we've got the inside track on the day's top stories. There'll be sharp takes you won't get anywhere else. We will set the news agenda, not just follow it, and I want to bring you along for the ride. Whatever it is, we'll have our finger on the pulse. It's news, but it's this close to entertainment. Patrick Christie's Tonight, 9 to 11 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So, send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Saturday Morning Live with me, Ellie Costello, and Ben Leo. Really good to have your company this morning. So many emails that have come in, actually, on Alora, our lovely Greatest Britain of the Week. Only 9 years old.
Amazing.
And she's made these positivity journals, hasn't she? So loads of you getting in touch on that. Carol says, what a lovely little girl Alora is, and full of talent. A joy to watch and listen to. Her parents must be very proud of her. A wonderful role model for youngsters. Well done, Alora.
Yeah, Alan just says, what a wonderful individual, a bright future And yeah, I think I want to snap up one of those journals for my own boys as well.
Oh, you should. I reckon they're going to be worth a fortune as well. I think she's going to be a very famous author, Isadora. And, of course, loads of you getting in touch on Princess Catherine as well.
Yep, Gerald says, it really grieves me to see and hear that this poor lady's felt obliged to reveal her problem to the world's media. Everybody has the right of silence regarding such things, even if they're royals. And Carol says, wishing Princess Kate a speedy recovery. I feel with her very brave speech. She's helped so many that are going through what she's going through. We're sending all our love. And that was the really nice final touch, wasn't it, from that video to Kate. She paused, her voice wavered a little bit, she looked down, she looked up and she said, and I'm thinking of everyone else going through the same situation.
It was really very moving, wasn't it? And just this one from Zoltan as well, who says, my heart is broken by what Catherine has had to go through. I can feel how difficult it must be for her, and I wish her a fast recovery and for the entire family. My partner is now in the process of breast cancer recovery. I'm sorry to hear that, Zoltan. I wish her better. It not only hits the person who requires the treatment, but it also hits their family. And I admire William and how he deals with such a difficult journey with the highest dignity. And I think that can be said for both of them as a couple, actually. It's been just so dignified and classy from them. What do you expect?
As I keep saying, the future of the monarchy appears to be in good hands.
Oh, it's looking bright. It certainly is. And, of course, we wish the Princess of Wales well. I'm sure you do too. Keep them coming in. gbviews@gbnews.com.
Now, don't miss out on your chance to win our Great British Spring Giveaway. Tech treats and £12,345 in tax-free cash. It's an amazing prize and it could be yours. Here's how you can enter.
There's still time to win our giveaway packed with seasonal essentials. First, there's an incredible £12,345 in tax-free cash to be won. Cash to make your bank account bloom. Plus a spring shopping spree with £500 in shopping vouchers to spend in the store of your choice. And finally, a garden gadget package, including a handheld games console, a portable smart speaker and a pizza oven. For another chance to win the vouchers, the treats and £12,345 in tax-free cash, text GBWIN to 84902. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Or post your name and number to GB03 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on Friday the 29th of March. Full terms and privacy notice at gbnews.com/win. Please check the closing time if watching or listening on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck indeed. Now it is time for your weekly dose of showbiz news, and we're delighted to be joined by showbiz journalist Ellie Phillips. Very good morning to you, Ellie. Oh, look, Ben, you're in an Ellie sandwich here.
Love it.
Yeah, really good to see you this morning, Ellie. So let's talk first about the Celebrity Big Brother final, which was last night.
Yeah, it was last night on ITV. There were 5 finalists in it. Money kind of bet that odds on were on for Louis Walsh to win, even though he's kind of gone down a bit controversially this series, because basically he's just been saying things about his celebrity friends, let's put it that way. But people loved that, and they're like, you know what, we're glad he's in there because he's brought the drama, he's brought the gossip. But actually, it ended up that David Potts won. He's probably the least known of all the celebrities that went in there. He was on a program called Ibiza Weekender, and when he actually went into the house this series, he went in these tiny short shorts and kind of got shamed for it a little bit by like Sharon Osbourne. And then when he left, he had his short shorts on again. And I think he goes to show that, you know, don't judge a book by its cover. He was this larger-than-life personality, really lovely guy, very, you know, heartwarming person. So, yeah, a deserved winner there. You can see him on screen now with Nikita Kuzmin from Strictly Come Dancing, and Nikita came second last night. Louis actually came fourth. Firm Britain came fifth, and then a guy called Colson Smith came third. If you watch Corrie, he plays Craig Pinker in Coronation Street. So it was a unexpected winner last night, but actually overall really good, especially because when he did first go in, he was put in the firing line by Sharon Osbourne, potentially to be the first one to be evicted, and actually made it all the way through and won the whole thing. So
Ellie, I love David Potts from Ibiza Weekender. He's such a vibe, isn't he? And you speak so much truth. Just be yourself and, you know, let your light shine through.
Absolutely, and he definitely did that. And when he came out afterwards, they were like, you know, what do you think? How do you feel? And he was like, just slay. He was just totally himself. And I think overwhelming at first. I mean, even when he first went in, people were like, wow, you know, he wants the attention. But actually, once you got to know them, it's only been 3 weeks, but I think that gave people enough time to kind of really get to know the characters in the house.
Yeah. Should we talk about, Ellie, Channel 4? They've made an apology for missing a serious complaints about Russell Brand in 2009.
Yeah, so Chief Executive Alex Mahon, she has revealed that a former employee made a serious and concerning allegation against Russell Brand. This was back in 2009. And basically, she said that it wasn't escalated to senior management, it wasn't investigated as it should have been, and that she's apologised on behalf of the organisation to the individual, the ex-employee in person, and said that, you know, she's sorry for the breakdown, the distress it caused. And actually, interestingly, she says in her statement about this that it's a matter of regret for the industry that repugnant behaviours were tolerated and indeed appeared on air. And I think that's important as well, because a lot of people think, oh, a lot of this happened behind the scenes, but, you know, we can look back at recordings and things that actually happened on air and we're seeing to happen on air that we watch now and we're so uncomfortable watching. So I think it's really important that she pulled upon that and said, do you know what? Actually, I'm glad we're highlighting all of this now, and it's not just what goes on behind the scenes, it's on air, and it can often be reflective of both. So I think that was a really key part of her message.
No, it absolutely was. And let's talk about Beetlejuice 2, shall we? Because this teaser has been revealed and it is star-studded, isn't it, Ellie?
It's so good. Okay, so this is Beetlejuice 2, called Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. The first trailer of this has been released, and it's the sequel to Tim Burton's 1988 original film, which then starred Michael Keaton. He returns as Beetlejuice into this. What's good about the trailer is it doesn't tell you too much. You see the characters in there. You've got Winona Ryder back as Lydia. You've got Catherine O'Hara back as Lydia's mum. And then the newbie on the cast, who wasn't in the original, is a brilliant casting. It's Jenna Ortega. If anyone's seen Wednesday, she plays the lead in that. And she's come back as Lydia's daughter, Astrid. So it kind of goes into the next generation. It's set in modern day, it's set now. And as well as that, you don't see them in the trailer, but it's also got Justin Theroux, William Dafoe, and Monica Bellucci. So it's got a really good cast. And I'm really excited for it because I absolutely loved Beetlejuice growing up. It was just so weird and wonderful and crazy and bizarre. And apparently, Tim Burton's already said that Michael Keaton, when he stepped back into the role, it was like nothing has changed. He just completely absorbed that character straight away, and it was just like magical to see. So that's got me super excited about this.
When's it released, Ellie? Do you know?
No, we don't know the date for release yet. They usually do a trailer, like get people excited. Then they'll say like the month, and then eventually they'll do the date. So we'll get there eventually with that one.
That's what you call a tease, eh?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, it looks great, absolutely star-studded. Thank you so much, Ellie. Really good to see you this morning.
You got it.
Now, do stay with us. We're going to be joined in the studio by the one, the only, Chico. You don't want to miss that. This is Saturday Morning Live on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll start the weekend on a very showery note across the UK, quite a chilly northwesterly wind too, but turning brighter as we head into Sunday. Low pressure's anchored towards the northeast of the UK at the moment, a very strong northwesterly airflow feeding lots of showers in across the UK. So it will be a very showery afternoon across all parts. Some of those showers heavy, turning thundery, with some snow across the hills towards the north. And although temperatures climbing to around about where they should be for the time of year, in the range 8 to 10 degrees. And on the effect of that north to northwesterly airstream, it's going to feel much colder out and about. So temperatures of 8 to 10 degrees, feeling more like 3 or 4. So you will need to wrap up warm if you're heading out this afternoon. As we head into the evening and during the overnight period, hold on to plenty of showers through the evening. But those showers will become more isolated, more focused towards north and northwestern facing areas as we head into the early hours of Sunday. And with clear spells developing inland, it will turn quite chilly. Could see a touch of frost by the morning on Sunday, even though in towns and cities, temperatures holding up at 4 to 6 Celsius. As we head into Sunday, a much quieter day on the whole, still 1 or 2 showers feeding in from the north and northwest, but with more in the way of sunshine, lighter winds, it should feel better out and about. Temperatures climbing to 10, 11, possibly even 12 or 13 degrees down towards the south and southeast. 13 is 55 in Fahrenheit. So all in all, a much better day in store for the bulk of the UK as we head into the second part of the coming weekend.
2024, a battleground year.
The year the nation decides.
As the parties gear up their campaigns for the next general election.
Who will be left standing when the British people make one of the biggest decisions of their lives?
Who will rise?
And who will fall? Let's find out together. For every moment, the highs, the lows, the twists and turns.
We'll be with you for every step of this journey.
In 2024, GB News is Britain's election channel.
GB News is the home of free speech. We were created to champion it, and we deliver it day in, day out.
Free speech allows us all to explore and debate openly the issues most important to us, our families, and of course, the British people.
Having challenging conversations to enlighten each other.
Which is why we hear all sides of the argument.
We are the People's Channel.
We will always stand by the freedom to express yourself.
On TV, radio and online.
This is GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Big news, big debates, big opinion. Patrick Christie's Tonight is the week's biggest show. Every weekday, 9 to 11 p.m, we've got the inside track on the day's top stories. There'll be sharp takes you won't get anywhere else. We will set the news agenda, not just follow it, and I want to bring you along for the ride. Whatever it is, we'll have our finger on the pulse. It's news, but it's this close to entertainment. Patrick Christie's Tonight, 9 to 11 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, Ellie, do you remember this song? Here he comes.
It's coming.
Gonna scream and shout, don't you wanna get out of line? Everybody say, what time is it? It's Chico time. Well, you can get to live.
Goodness, it's just as good as it once was. It is, of course, the song that knocked Madonna off the top spot on the UK singles chart way back in 2006, would you believe? Yeah, it stayed at #1 for 2 weeks.
Our next guest rose to fame in 2005 when he reached the quarterfinals of The X Factor, and nearly 20 years on, he swapped touring music to running fitness retreats all over the world, and this is right down my street. I'm so excited to have him.
He is so excited to meet you. This is the man himself, Chico.
Hey.
It is officially
Good morning,
Chico
Chico.
time. So good to see you this morning, Chico.
You too.
2006, wow. When you look back at that video, you said wow as well. What's
Yeah.
it like to watch that now?
You know, I just look back at it with the fondest of memories. And when I meet people in the street, they literally go, oh, it feels like it was only about 10 years ago.
There you are.
These old videos of you are amazing.
20... showing that.
Chico, you don't look like you've aged that much.
Oh, trust me.
Is that all down to your fitness retreats?
Well, you know, you've got to look after yourself. And, of course, your...
Spin.
I remember
Chico,
this.
I don't know if you missed it earlier, but in the top of the show I said, we need to do the Chico spin. And then he was like, what's the Chico spin? So I'm very cringeworthy he made us both spin live on air.
You have to watch it back and let us know.
Oh, well.
I think I was scored better than Ben. I was doing a better spin.
Well, I'm going to have to be the judge of that.
Oh, well, yeah. But you are still a huge part of pop culture, aren't you? You know, the Chico time thing, the Chico spin. Does that ever annoy you now that your life has moved on and you're running fitness retreats and you're running a charity? Does that ever annoy you or do you love that?
People often say to me, you must get sick and tired of people saying, what time is it? Or it's Chico time. And I say, well, how can you get tired of putting a smile on someone's face? Why? Because the people that have seen you 20 years ago, when they see you now, it's as though it was yesterday. So I always play along to that. And for me, it's all about what can I do to make your day? How can I make you smile? How can I inspire you to become a better you? How can I make you think about certain things in your life and how you're acting by which you can say, OK, I no longer wish to live this life and I can better myself to become the best of me. And this is what we do. I did it then in a different way, and then we just evolved, obviously, with the charity, the Rainbow Child Foundation, as I mentioned earlier. We've reached 100,000 children around the world.
Tell us what you're doing now. You've got a series of fitness retreats all around the world, right?
Yes. So, Who Breath, H-U, but it's spelled whobreath.com. And what we're doing now is I started a brand called BlockFit, which was dance, combat, hit yoga, meditation. Oh, wow.
Hit yoga meditation, as in high intensity training, yoga
and it's all done to original music, and we got that into all the Duncan Bannatyne gyms, trained over 750 instructors, and from that, we, oh, wow, this is amazing. Thank you for showing this, appreciate that. And then what happened is just before the pandemic, we basically had, I had a few friends who sadly took their lives, all men under 50, as you know, and so please reach out. And then I decided to go, how can we go even deeper? And the breath work was something extraordinary because we can make, within a week, you can get more out of it than 20 years of therapy. And that's because you actually get into the cracks and get into the subconscious and we get into the inner child. And what I found in all of our retreats is we are all hurt 7-year-olds around that.
Yeah.
And we need healing and we need to know who we truly are as not just this ego, body, mind, but a divine being inhabiting this physical body called
Do you think we forget that we've got that inner child these days? We're so consumed with, you know, what's going on in the news and our lives that we forget actually we are still deep inside that playful 7, 8, 9-year-old, you know, that innocent kid.
And that is exactly it. We have forgotten how to be childlike. And the great master, don't want to get religious or spiritual, but the great master Jesus said, unless we can become like children, we will never enter the kingdom of heaven, which means when you look at a child, it doesn't know its colour, creed, sex or gender. It just knows that it's here in the now-ment. It's a child of the present moment.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have the library of the past regrets or worries, and it doesn't have the future fears of what may happen tomorrow. It's right here, right now.
You know what? People look down on kids as if we need to teach them something, but they are the greatest teachers.
They are the greatest teachers, and if you look at any master that's ever come, it tells you to just go back to that place of nothing and no thing, which is the stillness of right here and to be present. And as they say, the past is history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift. That's why we call it the present.
Very good. I like that. I like that a lot. Chico, whilst we have you, I wanted to ask you about Celebrity Big Brother, because your mentor from The X Factor, Sharon Osbourne, was on this series, and you do have a very close relationship with her. What did you make of her on this series?
Do you know what? I absolutely loved her. I thought her and Louis made the show.
They're a great double act.
My only regret was I wasn't in it, because I wanted to be...
Would you have gone in?
Oh, God, I would have... Absolutely. And the reason being, because I would have liked to ask all the questions that I need to know answers to, i.e., why did Simon do this? And what happened here? And all of that. And as a matter of fact, you know, a lot of people thought Simon didn't like me, but that was just a one big act.
Was it?
Yeah, because as soon as we finished, Ben Shepherd, he turned around to me and he said to me, how do you feel? You know, they wanted me to say something negative about him, really, whatever. And I said, look, 99% of the time he's right. 1% of the time he's wrong. I just happen to be that 1%. And then when I went over to say bye to him in the room, just wanted to say that thank you for the opportunity, because, you know, that changed my life.
Yeah.
And he went, Chico, my dear boy, contrary to what you think or what the country thinks, I loved you from the first moment you walked in, and I want to say thank you, you made my show. I was like, you could literally just, and every bit of whatever I had to go through in the X Factor journey just evaporated, and I was like...
Amazing. Well, look, Chico, we're gonna have to call Chico time on you, unfortunately, but I'm gonna hit you up for your...
Listen, I'll invite you to come to one each and visit yourself. And if anyone wants to come, it's whobref.com. Come and check us out.
Thank you, Chico.
Thank you so very
Chico
much.
Time, and it's time for us as well. On Saturday Morning Live, we're back same time, same place
See ya.
next week.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, every Sunday at 9:30 when I'll be interviewing the key players in British politics and taking them to task.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial.
With an upcoming election looming over Westminster, now is the time for clear, honest answers.
I agree.
And that's precisely what I'll get.
Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's election channel.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll start the weekend on a very showery note across the UK, quite a chilly northwesterly wind too, but turning brighter as we head into Sunday. Low pressure is anchored towards the northeast of the UK at the moment, a very strong northwesterly airflow feeding lots of showers in across the UK. So it will be a very showery afternoon across all parts. Some of those showers heavy, turning thundery, with some snow across the hills towards the north. And although temperatures climbing to around about where they should be for the time of year, in the range 8 to 10 degrees, and on the effect of that north to northwesterly air